Some Canadian lawmakers are trying to close a loophole, one that allows citizens to get an illegal organ transplant from China. This after an international tribunal says China harvests organs from prisoners of conscience against their will. Here's more.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker.
A group of Canadian lawmakers is pushing for a new bill. It's a measure that fights the practice of forced organ harvesting.
It would make it a criminal offense for a person to go abroad and receive an organ taken without the consent of the person giving the organ.
Controversy surrounding transplant tourism has become a backdrop for the measure. That involves when patients travel to other countries to get organs, oftentimes because it takes too long to find a match in their home country. In the U.S., for example, it takes about 11 months for a liver and more than 3 years for a kidney. Right now, over 100,000 Americans are on the waiting list for an organ transplant. Many patients die waiting. But in China, wait time isn't measured in years, but in days and weeks. In 2020, a hospital in Wuhan found 4 possible heart matches in just 10 days for a female patient. The country has also been known to source organs within 72 hours, or even 24 hours. This information comes from Chinese media reports. In some cases, Chinese hospitals have also promised retransplants, meaning if the quality of an organ isn't up to par, the surgery would be cancelled. The hospital would schedule another transplant within a week. The extremely short wait times have made China one of the top destinations for transplant tourism. But many have been asking a key question: where do the organs come from? Rights activists argue a major source of China's transplant organs is through forced organ harvesting, saying China harvests organs from prisoners of conscience by force, sometimes when they're still alive. In 2018, an international tribunal in London gave its judgment on allegations of forced organ harvesting. The tribunal is made up of renowned medical and legal experts.
It is beyond doubt that forced harvesting of organs happened on a substantial scale and by state-organized or approved organizations and individuals.
Those experts say China's main organ supply comes from Falun Gong practitioners and Uyghurs, members of an ethnic group. Since the allegations have come to light, several countries responded to China's forced organ harvesting. Israel passed a law that prevents insurance reimbursement for illegally obtained organs. Belgium likewise passed a law punishing organ tourism. But in Canada, there is no law that fights organ trafficking, which is why the Canadian lawmakers are pushing for this bill.
And I, too, would like to take this opportunity to recognize the amazing work that was done by the late Member of Parliament, David Kilgour.
The lawmakers also mentioned the bill is in honor of David Kilgour. He's a former cabinet minister and was among the first that brought the issue to light. Back in 2006, when the forced organ harvesting issue first emerged and saw little media coverage, David Kilgour investigated the practice with another rights lawyer named David Mattis. The two later published an investigative report.
We pursued every investigative trail we could find. In the report, you will see that there are 18 different avenues of proof and disproof we considered and evaluated. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true. We believe them to be true, that this harvesting is indeed happening.
They were nominated for the 2010 Nobel Peace Prize. Kilgour passed away last week of a rare lung disease. He was 81.
It's a shame that he didn't live to see its passage, but I certainly hope that this bill will pass.
Following the investigative report, Kilgour kept raising awareness about the issue.
David Mattis and I have been in about 50 countries talking about it, and we will continue to talk about it, as all people of goodwill will, until it stops. There's only one country out of, I guess, almost 200 countries in the world now that does this on an industrial, state-sponsored level, and that's China.
What's more, he wrote a book called Bloody Harvest, The Killing of Falun Gong for Their Organs.
He is the one that blew the doors open on this practice overseas and that made this thing possible.
David brought this issue to my attention. He brought this issue to many people's attention. He wrote the initial report along with David Matas on this issue and has just been a tireless champion on it, but on so many other human rights issues as well.
As for the bill, it passed the Canadian Senate last year and is now before the Canadian House of Commons.